President Chartier, thanks for joining us. What are your concerns with the self-government agreements that were signed last week?
Well, my major concern, first of all, I have a responsibility to keep a national perspective on what happens within the Métis Nation. My major concern is that there's a possibility, and I say only a possibility, that each of the three governing members who signed these agreements can put forward their own definition of who is Métis in their constitutions. But of course, we did agree in 2002 to a common criteria, which is in each of their respective constitutions, at least in Saskatchewan and Alberta. The Métis Nation of Ontario, of course, is a different matter altogether because they really haven't been applying that criteria. They've been going based on their own definition of Métis. So basically, the issue is that they now are given the opportunity by the federal government to go with their own definition of Métis. And clearly enough, in their agreement, they do state that the Northwestern Ontario Regional Council is part of the historic Métis Nation, and they acknowledge the others aren't part of the historic Métis Nation. So at least they're upfront about that. And as we move forward, we'll see to what degree the Métis proper within the Métis Nation deviate from the definition that we currently have.
You questioned whether these agreements are now putting the Métis Nation, quote, in harm's way by potentially creating mini Métis nations. What did you mean by that?
Well, perhaps the answer is, I looked at the media, and the media themselves are saying the three Métis nations. So, you know, it gives the misperception out in the public, including the media, who hopefully I thought should know better, that there was only one Métis nation, one Métis people. But they're saying there's all these three Métis nations. And what I'm saying again is, if each of those determine that they're going to define who are the Métis within their own provincial jurisdictions, then that's going to carve up the Métis Nation even more carved up than we have been with the modern day provincial governments. We may see a situation where the Métis are dismembered through the Constitution, through Section 35. But I'm hopeful that it doesn't go there. And in the end, I believe the Métis in Saskatchewan and Alberta will stick with the national criteria. And if they do, then that doesn't become an issue.
Would it have made more sense for Minister Bennett to sign this agreement, these agreements with MNC rather than three different organizations?
Well, they tried with four. The Manitoba Métis Federation refused to go along with this version of agreements, mainly because of the definition, and also because it makes the inherent right that we possess contingent on reaching agreement. So we go from an inherent right of self-government now to a contingent right of self-government based on the ability to negotiate an agreement, self-government agreement with Canada, and Canada saying, yes, we agree that you are self-governing. So that's a big issue. And actually, you're right. For the past 3+ some years, I've been advocating with Minister Bennett that we have to take a national approach because there are national principles that are involved here, but that never has happened. And finally, last month, I was able to get on the agenda going forward, Section 35 rights table to deal with national principles, national issues. And it would have made more sense had we had those national principles, national issues up front of these specific negotiations. But in the end, based on these principles, each governing member does have the jurisdiction to deal with, you know, what's taking place within their jurisdictions in terms of programs and services and so on, but not things such as who are the Métis. There is only one Métis nation, one Métis people, and that belongs to the national government to decide, and it was decided in 2002.
President Chartier, well, we have you. You're likely aware Grand Chief Verna Polson of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation Tribal Council has been on a hunger strike, calling for equal partnership in 100 Wellington, the former embassy that is to become a national Indigenous center. What are your thoughts on what's taking place?
Well, first of all, I only found out about this hunger strike this morning from CBC. I've been away out of the country at meetings, and basically in our government we have ministers responsible for certain aspects, and our Minister of Social Development, Manitoba Métis Federation President David Chartrand is responsible for this file, so I will let him continue to try to work this out and see where it takes us.
President Chartier, we'll have to leave it there. Appreciate you taking some time for us here today.
Yes, thank you.